The following broadcast is brought to you in association by XP Coffee Company. XP Coffee Company is the fresh brewed coffee made for gamers by gamers. Get amazing flavors like Choco Loco in 8, 12, or 16 ounce bags, or level up and get Illusion, Isolation, Nightmare, or the Majestic Throne blends in light, medium, or dark roast in whole bean, coarse French press, drip, or fine espresso in 12 ounce, 16 ounce, or 2-pound bags. Wow! Shipping worldwide. If you're in the US, go to usa.xpcoffee.co. If you're in Europe or in the UK, go to www.xpcoffee.co. XP Coffee Company, for gamers, by gamers. All right, what's going on, all you Tanimals out there? We're back. The Tanndemonium Sports Show here on Vendetta Sports Media. I'm your host, Brian Tan, and with you, as always, the Robin to my Batman, Jackson Law.
What's up, man?
Yeah, I'm going to put you in the bright red, even though we're supposed to be going around at night. You'll make a good shield. I mean, I always wondered that. Like, seriously, like, why the hell does Robin wear the bright colors and Batman's wearing the dark colors? Like, if that's not a setup to, like, get killed, I don't know what it is.
Attack him. Get the 12-year-old.
Yeah. I am the knight. He's the target. Wait, what? No! All right,
he's young and naive, so he's cool with it. He doesn't know.
He's just happy to be doing something.
And then that's when he grows up and he's like, man, black, that looked good. You know, that would be helpful.
Yeah, that's when he grows up to become the Red Hood.
Yeah.
So we got a lot to talk about, and we're gonna try to keep this episode tight like a drum. But
see how that goes.
Yeah, really. But our top story, the breaking news as of 1:30 this afternoon. J Law, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago when we talked about if Giannis was going to stick with the Milwaukee Bucks after some questionable offseason moves. Well, question no longer. Giannis has just signed a super max, not just a max extension, but a super max extension. J Law, Giannis Antetokounmpo. I almost had I can't. Why can't I say Antetokounmpo? Say it again.
Antetokounmpo.
Yes, Giannis, the Greek freak. 5 years. 5 years. $228 million. Now.
Sheesh.
Woo,
that is over. I did just quick maths on my phone. That is at minimum, if you just averaged it out, $45 million a year.
Damn.
5 years, almost $250 million over 5 years.
Now, here's the thing. The Milwaukee Bucks they were an institution in the NBA back in the 60s and 70s, especially when they picked up, first, it was the years with Oscar Robinson, and then they picked up, a young fella by the name of Lou Alcindor, who ended up being known as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. In my opinion, and in the opinion of most, the greatest NBA player of all time. The greatest. I love Michael Jordan. But Michael Jordan was not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is still number one in so many offensive categories. I'm going to pull it up real quick.
He's still the number one scorer, isn't he?
Yes, he is still the number one scorer of all time in the NBA. Matter of fact, I'm getting ready to bring up his career statistics right now.
He's definitely GOAT tier. He's one of those players where I'm just like, man, if I had a time machine to go watch sports, I would go back. Even if I had a limited number of and it's like you could pick 5 games out of history. I would just pick a random Kareem Abdul-Jabbar game.
No doubt. Now here's a list of his awards, his NBA achievements, and this is courtesy of his page on Wikipedia. Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame class of 95. 6-time NBA champion 1971, 1980, 1982, 1985, 1987, 1988. 10 NBA Finals appearances. 71, 74, 80, 82 through 85, 87 through 89. That means he is 6-4 all time in the NBA Finals. 6-time NBA Most Valuable Player, 71, 72, 74, 76, 77, and 80. 2-time scoring champion, 1-time rebounding champion, 4-time shot blocking champion, 1-time field goal percentage leader. That was in 77. 19-time NBA All-Star, 2-time Finals MVP, 15-time All-NBA, 11-time defensive selection, first team All-Rookie in 70, NBA Rookie of the Year in 1970. And the list just goes on and on and on. I'm trying to find exactly. I'm just going to do another. I mean, this man
I've seen people try to compare Anthony Davis to him and say that Anthony Davis is better.
Nope.
It's like, no way,
Not
dude.
at all. Now,
time really screws people up, man.
It really does, because they don't remember. So
they don't know.
They don't know. There's no way. Honestly, if Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was in his prime, Anthony Davis couldn't lace his sneakers. I'm sorry. Because the thing, and that's nothing against Anthony Davis, because Kareem is just that damn good of a player. Like, if you, like, seriously, if you're watching this, go back and watch some old Kareem footage. All right. This man was an artist. He was poetry in motion. Now, let's see. Career games, 1,560. That record was broken by Robert Parrish. It took Robert Parrish playing it to the 1996 season, his final season. 57,000 minutes in his career. 57,446 minutes.
Jeez.
He is still the career scoring champion. 38,387 points. Season scoring 2,000 or more points. He had 9. That record was finally broken by Michael Jordan and Karl Malone in 1997-98. Let's see. Field goals for a career, 15,837. Field goals attempted, 28,307. I can go on and on, but the reason why I'm bringing up Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is that up until now, Kareem was, like, really, other than Sidney Moncrief, who unfortunately his career was tragically short. Until Giannis showed up, Kareem was the only real super player that they had. Yeah, they
had Oscar.
Huh? Oscar. Well, Oscar and Kareem were around the same time.
Yeah.
And I believe Oscar was gone shortly after Kareem left.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly. The point is that when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was finally traded from Milwaukee to the Los Angeles Lakers, that team was that team, like, yeah, they went to the playoffs a bit, but they were never a superpower. They were never a threat like they are now with Giannis. Even when Michael Redd showed up, and Michael Redd was an amazing player, another man whose career was just didn't pan out. But Giannis Antetokounmpo is one of those rare. Now, this is a guy that I would be willing to say could be a big man that's on the level of Kareem, because of the fact that he can do a lot of the things that Kareem did, even though he's 3 inches shorter. You know, Kareem was 7'2", Giannis is 6'11", but still, like, he plays with that sort of finesse with like deceptive power, even though Giannis is just a freak of nature. Like, he is strong, he's fast, he's smooth, he does it all. I knew who Giannis was, and I wasn't even watching basketball.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember Giannis before he actually got good. Believe it or not, there was a time in his career, and it was very recent, where he sucked.
It was only like what, 4 or 5, like, because he came into the league in like 2013, right?
Yeah, and I went and watched him in like 2015. It was really before he had put on a whole lot of muscle. He was really skinny. He played at the Forum, FedEx Forum in Memphis, Tennessee, which is around the area where I'm at. So I go see Grizz games. Huge Grizz fan. Obviously, you've seen me wear the hat before, or like, and other stuff everyone else that's watched has. And I watched him. He was booty cheeks that game. Let me tell you. It blows my mind that I got to see him before he blew up the way he has.
Before he became Giannis.
Yes, but no, he is a freak, and it's crazy. It's really unfair that someone is that tall, that big, that quick, that strong, and can handle the ball like he does, and can
He's
attack the rim like he does.
Isn't he a lot like, doesn't he remind you of, now here's the thing, I've always been critical of LeBron James up until like within the last couple of years, because I've seen LeBron James, really become more than just, just this physical phenom who could play basketball. He's actually becoming, he's also an activist. He's using so much of his celebrity. But isn't it crazy that we get like 10 years after LeBron first hit the scene, now we get a guy who's like LeBron 2.0 as far as the physical skills and just the amazing talent. Because LeBron is like what, 6'8", 6'9", 250, and was just a man among boys. And now you get Giannis 6'11", 250, who's doing the same thing now. Like, I would love to see Giannis in his prime, which is he's in now, versus LeBron in his straight up prime. I
Yeah,
would
so
love to see that matchup.
that would basically be 2012, 2013 LeBron James when he's winning MVPs and playing for the Heat. Like
Right.
that is peak LeBron.
I
Like
would
there
love
was
to see
literally
Giannis.
nobody in the entire world. It's like the 5-6 billion people that were alive in 2013, not a single person could beat that man at basketball.
No, I would love to see Giannis now play LeBron 7 years ago. And here's the thing, Giannis is a young guy. He just turned 26 years old.
Yeah, he's a year older than me.
He just turned 26. And now, you know what? I was asking myself that question, when LeBron got drafted. But because here's the thing, I'm older than LeBron by like 3-4, because like LeBron's like what, 37 now? 37, 38?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so I'm like 3-4 years older than LeBron. Now, here's the thing. He just signed. Now, he had a 4-year, $100 million contract with the Bucks. He just signed a 5-year, $228 million contract. He still has, by the time this contract is up, he still has another 6 years before the
minimum.
At minimum. With the way NBA players are taking care of themselves now, they can conceivably play into their 40s.
Yeah, the reason why LeBron
has one more big contract.
Yeah, and the reason why LeBron is able to keep doing it is because he spends $1 to $2 million a year just on his body, like taking care of his body.
Yep,
that's
like
working
Brady
out.
Does.
That's personal chefs. That's planning literally every aspect of his life around staying healthy and staying fit. But I mean, the investment is obviously paying off because he just won an NBA title, and they are poised to make another title run and win another one. And he's the leader of that team. So
and he does not look like he's slowing down at all.
No,
if anything,
like,
he's improving his game because he's getting other people involved as well.
The only chink that we've seen was 2 years ago with his first year in LA, where he had that groin injury, and you could tell it like really bothered him because he's never been injured before, and he'd never missed that many games due to injury before. He's a guy that's been relatively healthy, and that's why everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, this guy is following LeBron. It's over for him." Like, not necessarily, but he's not invincible anymore.
Groin injuries take a long time to heal. You ever pull your groin or tear a groin muscle?
I have pulled my groin in the past.
As have I. That shit don't feel good at all.
No, and that's why he sat out the rest of the season.
Yeah. And I'll tell you something right now. I think that now here's the thing. We were very, very sort of critical about the Milwaukee Bucks and some of the moves they've made. Now, here's what I wonder. Next year, are they going into luxury tax to get him some additional help? Does he believe in the team that he has around him? What do you think that they did to sort of get him to buy into this team? Because here's the thing. Giannis had this to say in a tweet, and I'll give you a chance to answer the question in a second. But he said, this was a tweet from Giannis at 1:23 p.m. today. Quote, "This is my home. This is my city. I'm blessed to be able to be a part of the Milwaukee Bucks for the next 5 years. Let's make these years count. The show goes on. Let's get it." Now, this is a guy who apparently he loves the city. He loves Milwaukee. There's something there that he's seeing that we don't see as outsiders. Because one of the reasons why Kareem Abdul-Jabbar left the Milwaukee Bucks was because Milwaukee didn't have sort of the lifestyle he wanted, as far as a more progressive lifestyle to practice his religion and all of that. So perhaps Milwaukee has changed a lot, especially because you figure who was the player that had issue with the Milwaukee PD a couple of years ago? You remember that guy?
Sterling Brown. That's who it is.
Right. So could it be
because he's still on the team, and
right.
and that's why when the whole bubble thing happened, I forgot. I feel really bad because I'm forgetting the specific incident that sparked the not obviously not the protest.
The
that
issues
was
in Kenosha?
I think it may have been the issues in Kenosha because
Basically,
it was while the bubble was going on, and
yes,
Sterling Brown was one of the few guys that was like, I don't want to play because this is going on because something happened that day.
Because essentially what it was, a police officer fired 7 rounds into a brother's back.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
what it was.
I think that may have been it.
Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking, that's it. Yeah, okay, I'm remembering it now.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. A Kenosha police officer shot a brother in his back 7 damn times at close range, and it's like,
yeah, because he was like in the car, like he was in the car.
He was essentially, he was in the car. The police were called, if I'm recalling the absolute details of it, because now as I'm looking at it, everything comes up with the young man whose name I will not mention, the monster from Illinois who showed up to pull something. But basically what it was a brother. There was a call to the police about I guess there was a domestic violence situation, and the police showed up. It was the young man Jacob Blake, and there was some sort of domestic violence call. But Jacob Blake was actually sort of trying to be the peacemaker. He's going back to his car with his 3 kids in the car, and Kenosha's police officer shot him in his back like 7 times. And then they cuffed him to his bed. Where the hell's his brother going? He has 7 bullets in his damn back. The hell is he going? So, and that's why, Sterling Brown was like, we don't need to be playing. And I think that the fact that the team, and it's in a lot of instances, the city sort of rallied around that sentiment, which I think I think maybe that could be a big part of it.
Yeah. So there is a multi-layered answer to the question that you presented earlier. To be quite honest, I think the only thing that the organization did that convinced Giannis to stay was the fact that under league rules, the Milwaukee Bucks could sign him to a supermax deal, and that was going to be the most money. And there's a trend in players in all leagues that I'll never fault them for getting their money, but at the same time, they also make it impossible for other teams to move them, or they severely limit their options. Because let's say that Drew Holiday, who's on a 1-year deal, they gave up so many first-round picks for Drew Holiday. What if he decides that this isn't for me? I don't think this team is working out. I'm out of Milwaukee the next season. Then Giannis is stuck there. And what if he's thinking this team has no future, and we have no cap, and we have no draft assets? I want out. You have to make the cap situation work, which means he's either A, going to have to go to a rebuilding team, and he's not going to want to be a part of a rebuild. He's going to want to compete. Or B, there's only like 2 other teams in the league right now that have contracts that are similar in size to that, and you have to trade them for each other. Basically, it's like how the John Wall and Russell Westbrook trade happened, is because there was no other real asset that switched between them, because all you could do was just move their 2 contracts. They're so massive, you just can't make it work, or the team that you're going to is going to have to sacrifice too much to get you. So,
here's the thing though. At the same token, and Candace Parker tweeted this a little while ago, where she was saying that, it's in a situation, I'm paraphrasing at this point, is these players in the NBA, they have the control over where they go, what they do, what they don't do. It's not like football in a lot of ways, or even baseball, where, you can just sort of keep a player hostage. Like, look at what the Washington football team did with what was that brother's name?
Kirk
Trent,
Cousins, or
Kirk Cousins, or
well,
Trent. Was it Trent?
well, they did Kirk Cousins because they didn't like it, but I'm trying to remember who you're talking about.
Let me see. I think it's.
But I get what you're saying, but at the same time, like I said, I see both sides of it, because kudos to Giannis for working hard and getting his MVPs to the point where he can sign a supermax deal and earn $45 million a year. But I believe that's now the most expensive contract in the NBA, or if not, it's one of the top 2 or 3. And moving it is going to be near impossible if he wants to, if in the future, like a year or 2 from now, wants to move to a contender, and doesn't want to be a part of a rebuilding team. And it's hard to see like a magical scenario where you will be able to go to a team and that is kind of in the middle, where you'll elevate them up to a point to where they're a contending team, like a super contending team, and the Bucks feel like they are getting good enough value out of whatever picks and other assets they're bringing in for Giannis to replace him.
I mean, I hear you. I think that in a lot of ways, though, don't you think, though, that these teams are possibly sort of protecting themselves, and in turn, the players protecting themselves in situations like this? Like, aren't there like provisions put into their contracts? Like, so if he says, look, this isn't going to work, blah, 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 isn't there a way where there's like an opt out or a buyout that doesn't hurt their salary cap?
Buying out that big of a contract, I think, is impossible. I think he does have an opt out that final year. So that 5th year, I think, is a player option. So which means that he can decline it and he can move on. So he can only be there for 4 more years.
And I mean, and that's not too bad, because now he's 30 and he's not really, I seriously think that maybe toward the end of that contract, they might be able to get, if they mutually want out. Like, there's always, because you even look at what, like the Mets right now, how they signed Bobby Bonilla to such a huge contract. He's not working out. So what do they end up doing? They have to pay him a certain amount of money over a multitude of years, so that's not counting. Now, granted, baseball doesn't have a salary cap, but I'm sure they could do something like that. There's things that can be done. Sure, the league would have to approve it.
Yeah, but I mean the dead cap, because the contracts are 100% guaranteed. Like, that big of a contract for that big of a player, every single penny of that money that is not going to the federal government or the state government of Wisconsin, will be going to Giannis in his pocket.
Right.
And I think it's impossible for a buyout, because the dead cap, a team would essentially have to eat $40 million in dead cap over the course of a couple years. Like Nicholas Batum, they're having to eat the rest of his contract, and it's almost $10 million a year. The Hornets are, excuse me, to be more specific.
Whatever happened to him? What's going on with him now? Or
he signed with the Clippers, I think.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I still just kind of feel like, and I'm not finding that guy from the now the Washington football team, but it's the guy that I guess he had the staph infection or something, and they totally mishandled him.
Yeah, there's something's ringing a bell there. I think I know what you're talking about, but yeah, I can't remember any specifics. And then also another reason why Giannis signed is he could just love the city,
It's possible.
And it's a bittersweet type of thing for me. I was more inclining Giannis should wait, and which Giannis has said that he doesn't need to play, in the Miamis or LAs. He doesn't.
He's
really
happy to be
in
the Midwest.
He's happy to be in a small market team. That's a big win for someone like me, who's a huge fan of a small market team. Right. And it helps that in 2020, You don't need to be in Los Angeles. You don't need to be in New York or Boston. You know, you don't need to be on the coast to have an extremely successful off the court ventures and make millions of dollars in endorsements and advertising,
Right.
because that's the power of social media and the internet. You know, he's a
Mm-hmm.
part of the Hulu Has Live Sports crew. You know, it's like Damian Lillard and a couple of other big players from other sports are a part of that. He gets paid good money by Hulu just to appear in a commercial and say one phrase.
Right. And last thing, because we've been on this Giannis topic for a little bit now.
Mm-hmm.
I seriously think that this in the long term is good for the NBA and good for professional sports in a period. And here's why. And you just touched on it. Giannis doesn't need to go to the big markets. He doesn't need to be in New York. He doesn't need to be in LA. He doesn't need to be in Miami. He doesn't need to be in Houston. He's happy where he's at. He likes the culture of the town. He likes the culture of the team. Who doesn't like the idea that they're going to have a team built around them? And not to mention the fact that that can only do good things for small market teams in other sports, because now they look at the money that Giannis is getting, and maybe that will allow teams that are in smaller markets to get big time free agents. Maybe the Bills will be able to get some big name free agents in the future. Maybe, I don't know, give me another small market team in the NFL.
In the NFL,
Yeah. I mean, because the thing is that,
uh,
like, maybe Jacksonville, if
yeah,
their ownership,
Jacksonville,
if their
like
ownership,
Nashville.
if their ownership group can get their heads out of their asses, can get a big time free agent to come in there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I don't even want to call.
Technically, Green Bay.
Yeah, maybe Green Bay can start getting some big time guys. If the Green Bay Packers fans, if people are seeing, hey, Giannis is sticking around in Milwaukee. That's only about 60, 70 miles from Green Bay. Hey, Giannis, what's going on in that area? Hey, well, this, and this. All right,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I'll look into signing there. We can hang out, because these athletes know each other. They talk to each other, and then baseball, God, you want to talk about, I think small market ball has hurt baseball more than anything. The
Mm-hmm.
Pirates can't really get, but granted, they also don't have a salary cap in baseball. But I mean, a lot of these guys, I think baseball has it a lot harder. But maybe some of these smaller market teams, because you look at, the Cleveland baseball team. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. I'll just throw that in on the cuff. In Cleveland,
Mm-hmm.
they lost CC Sabathia to Milwaukee because Milwaukee happened to have more money than Cleveland. And then what did CC Sabathia do? He went from one small market to another and went right to the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
You look at, because granted, the only teams that really are going far in baseball, that are in Houston, they're in New York, they're in Los Angeles.
Yeah, the Cardinals are really the only Midwest team over the past decade that's
That's
had
a
any
big
success.
market team. That's even
Yeah,
close to being but
yeah,
because the fans
yeah,
there die hard.
yeah. You see, that is like kind of like exception to the rule, because St. Louis is like a huge baseball capital in the
Well, because
United
they also
States.
they also don't have anything else. They don't have they
Yeah,
lost
they lost the Rams, so yeah.
yeah, and they
They
lost,
got the
and
Blues,
that's true.
the hockey team.
I actually forgot about the Blues, and that's other teams too. Buffalo Sabres, St. Louis Blues, the Arizona Coyotes. These smaller market teams can maybe start getting these bigger name players now, and I think a lot of that is, I think that Giannis can actually be a catalyst for that. So I'm very excited about this. I'm excited to start becoming a basketball fan again. Maybe I'll start following the Bucks because I do like Giannis. I like Giannis as a player and as a person from what I see. So maybe maybe that'll be my team. Maybe the Bucks will be my team. I don't know. Who do you guys think should be my team? Tell me who you guys think. Hit us up on Twitter. We're actually going to have a Twitter account soon. I'm actually going to set up a Tanndemonium Sports Show Twitter feed. I'm going to set up a Tanndemonium Sports Show Facebook group. Actually, I think I'll start with Twitter. We were primarily on Twitter, so I think I'll start with Twitter and go from there.
I mean, applications are still available for the Grizzlies train. They've looked pretty good.
Yeah,
I know it's preseason, but
all right, maybe. But no, but if we're fans of the same team, then we're gonna be fanboying for them all the time. We gotta have some contention on that. All right, so another big deal in the NBA this week, and this happened on Sunday. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. The return, J-Law, of KD. Kevin Durant is back. in the Brooklyn Nets 119-114 victory over the now Russell Westbrook-led Washington Wizards. Although he did not play, he was being rested. I guess, walking from Houston to Washington is difficult, even though John Wall played. But I guess John Wall needed to play because he hasn't played in 2 years.
Yeah.
But Durant played 24 minutes, went 5 for 12, 0 for 2 on 5 for 12 from the field, 0 for 2 from behind the arc, 5 for 6 at the free throw line. Ended up finishing out 15 points, 3 boards, 3 assists, 2 blocks, but 3 turnovers. Is KD coming back, or is he slowly but surely looks like he might be coming back?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not expecting KD to start really doing KD things probably till maybe 15, 20 games into the season.
I was going to say maybe February, early February.
Yeah, February. That would be about the same time, shortened season, yeah. But February is probably a good indicator. But yeah, I'm excited to have KD back. The NBA was not the same last season without KD and Steph. And, Steph made his return. It still doesn't feel the same because Klay Thompson isn't back. But we got John Wall back now. There's a lot of big NBA names that have been injured for so long that we're finally getting back, and I'm happy for it.
I am too. KD is another guy that. And I said this last time we talked about KD when we made our KD LeBron references. I was more of a KD guy. I just really felt that KD just had a more likable personality. I knew of his story from Texas, and of course the gifts. Telling his mom she's the real MVP.
She's the real MVP, yeah.
And that's true, man. Mamas are the real MVPs, man.
They are.
But I'm really happy about that because at the end of the day, you're right. This does so much more for the NBA. It makes it way more watchable. And honestly, I think that this year, New York belongs to the Nets. You might as well just kick the Knicks out of Madison Square Garden, put them in Barclays, and let the Nets play in MSG. Because sorry, the Knicks. Now, granted, I have a small soft spot for the Knicks, J-Law, and I'll tell you why. My 2K21 player, Junior, was actually drafted by the Knicks at number 8 overall. They picked the other guy that's in the story mode at number 1 overall, then picked me up at number 8. And then they traded the guy who they picked number 1. They traded him to the Bulls to keep me, to build the team around me. And it's like, but y'all couldn't trade him for nobody better than the small forward. I mean, granted, like you couldn't move this dude over to small forward from shooting guard. You couldn't put him at starting small forward or put me at starting point guard and let us run the backcourt. No. All right, cool. But no, I think KD's return comes with a lot of championship implications right now because you have a big 3 that will not only, because granted now Toronto, all they have is what's my buddy's name? Plays point guard.
Van Vliet. Kyle Lowry.
They got Kyle Lowry and Fred Van Vliet. Fred is still in Toronto, right?
Yeah, he re-upped.
All right, so you've got who else does Toronto have to combat the big 3 in Brooklyn? Nobody.
I mean, Pascal Siakam, but he sucked. Against the Celtics. Like he ghosted.
And Giannis, he has Drew Holiday, but is Drew Holiday really gonna be able to stand with Giannis in a series?
There's no one else.
No. Like the only team that can really combat them firepower for firepower is the Lakers.
Mm-hmm. And the Lakers, I didn't care much for their supporting cast last season, but they ended up winning a title, so it really didn't matter. But their supporting cast got a lot better, and right now the Nets look like the team to come out of the East, not just because they have KD and Kyrie. And I would argue that KD, when healthy, is the best player in the NBA. Like even better than LeBron, better than Giannis, just because he brings to the table what those other guys bring. But the 3-point shooting from like 35 feet from the basket,
just being able and just having the length to block shots, to be a force in the paint.
No, he's a good defender. He's a good defender. He's quick. Smart with his fouls, even though he had 3 personal fouls this game in 24 minutes. But he's coming back after a significant Achilles injury where he missed all of last season, so he's got to shake off the rust somehow. But also just a supporting cast of this team. They rolled out, at least in this game, Kyrie, KD, DeAndre Jordan, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Joe Harris. And that's not a terrible lineup, but then you also got to remember that they have Karis LeVert. They just traded for Landry Shamet. They've got Josh Allen or Jared. Crap! Wow, I can't believe I just forgot his name. Jared Allen. Yeah, not Josh Allen. Jared Allen off the bench. So they've got a good bench squad. Which Karis LeVert, I think, he may start over Harris. So Harris may come off the bench, but it may be nice to have one of those two guys come off the bench. Yeah. LeVert, because LeVert's just a pure scorer, and I think he'll do better. I forgot what coach that said it, but it's not about who starts; it's about who finishes. So LeVert can easily come off in that second rotation, but be in there, with KD, Kyrie, Dinwiddie, him, and then someone else.
Jordan. Well, DeAndre Jordan is a beast. He's probably one of the last legit old school big men,
and he is old.
Yeah, but I mean, he still has that fire in him. He's a tough.
He'll lock it down. He'll get you some boards. He's still intimidating on defense, so he'll do the job. They don't really need a big. When you've got firepower like the Nets do, you don't really need a true center that's going to score 15, 17 points a night and grab 12, 13 boards. You just need a guy that'll get a bucket every now and again, but still gets about 10 boards and holds the other bigs in check.
I was gonna say, just remember though, there's a lot to be said about the classic big man underneath.
I know.
I mean, come on. I'm the guy here who's been sitting here talking about the glory days of Kareem, Dennis Rodman, and you still need those guys, even in a run and gun type of game, and it's a shooting game and blah, 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 and everyone taking threes left, everyone and their grandmom taking threes. You still need that presence in the middle.
Hey, the Lakers proved it with JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard.
Yeah.
They won a title, and they had 2 traditional bigs that don't shoot threes. And it's because they had the firepower around them where you could afford to do that. You didn't need a big that could stretch the floor.
But sometimes, and I'll tell you, and this is the last I'm going to say on that, you got to have that guy that you can just throw the ball, get the ball into inside and just start hurting them. That frees up your shooters. Sometimes the classics don't go away. Sort of like a running game in football.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? I want to move into our next topic after this. Hey, you. Yeah, you. In case you hadn't heard, your favorite Renegade Sports Media Group has its own Patreon. Go to patreon.com/Vendetta Sports Media to support our efforts to continuously bring you sports, gaming, and other media coverage as only we can. We've got 4 different membership tiers. For $3 a month, we'll give you a simple thank you on our Patreon site. For $6 a month, you get a thank you, and you get to become a recruit in Jackson Law's Vendetta University Gaming Series. For $10 a month, you get everything from the previous tiers, a special thank you at the end of our videos, free access to our upcoming Discord chat, and a free koozie after 4 months. And then the big dog, $50 a month, gets you everything from the previous tiers, as well as opportunities for Fantasy League invites, stream gaming, possible invites to mock NFL and NBA draft sessions, a once-a-month Google Hangout, and after 4 months, a free t-shirt. Yeah! Go to patreon.com/Vendetta Sports Media and help us to improve our pledge to bring you the best sports, gaming, and other media coverage. So, we got to go to the NFL. My Steelers dropped another one. This time being made, just looking bad again to a superior team. Now, we talked about, and we even said that the Bills could beat the Steelers. We said this when the Steelers were looking unstoppable, that the Bills could have their number. Now, J-Law, did you watch this game? Did you?
I caught quite a bit of it, yeah.
I stayed away from it. I knew it was going to be bad. I knew it. So I stayed away. Now, in your opinion, in watching this game, did the Bills win or did the Steelers just crumble? From what I can tell, the Steelers, it was column A, column B, but it was like the Steelers were in it and then just crumbled.
Yeah, I mean, it's the biggest problem right now for the Steelers is their offense. And their defense has had a lot of injuries, and holding a team like the Bills to 26. I know it doesn't seem like a whole lot, but the Bills, they got a great offense, and they struggled to keep Stephon Diggs in check. 10 receptions, 130 yards, and a touchdown. Wish I had him on my fantasy team for this game. But it's just the offense cannot move. Then there's just a lot of questionable calls. The run game is pretty much has been non-existent for about 3 or 4 weeks now. And which is odd to think when you think of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And because we even talked about it last week, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're one of those traditional teams that you have a quarterback like Big Ben, but you also are pounding the football. It just
Ben's always had a good running attack behind him. Yeah, he had a strong arm, but he didn't have to use it all the time. He always had a good running attack behind him. Now he doesn't. Now he's in his 36, 37, 38 year season. And now he's being exposed. And James Conner's too damn good of a running back. And Scott wrote this yesterday on go to vendettasportsmedia.com and read this article by Scott Logish. Says Randy Fichtner needs to be fired. His play calling is disgraceful. People in Pittsburgh have been saying that since last year. Randy Fichtner is horrible. Randy Fichtner is, and you know what? I'm on board with Scott as well. He is worse than Jason Garrett. But the thing is, it is not just Randy Fichtner, though. It's also Mike Tomlin. And yeah, I'm calling, as much as I love Mike Tomlin, Tomlin has never been good at making adjustments either. But maybe this is also a product of his coordinators. I think it's column A, column B. Number one, you've got to run the damn ball. Fichtner isn't, it's almost like all Big Ben's been doing these little dink and ducks and dips and whatnot. Yeah. That doesn't work.
It's another week where he completed just 3 less passes than Josh Allen and threw for only 187 yards.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for the defense, this game would have been way worse. The problem is the reason why the defense started showing all these cracks and the reason why Diggs had such a huge game is because the damn defense is exhausted. Every time they get off the field, they're getting back on the field. Now, Fichtner's a horrible coach. The team just looks flat and lifeless. And a lot of that, I blame the NFL. I do. No team should have to play 3 damn games in 12 days. They shouldn't. And the Steelers have not had a legit bye week all season. They were forced to take a bye week in week 4 because the damn Titans couldn't get their act together. And then their week was further ruined because the Ravens couldn't get their act together. So granted, I am livid at the receiving core for dropping passes like they're hot. It's almost like, especially Deontay Johnson, someone chopped off one of his fingers so the kid can't catch now. Ray McLeod can't seem to make smart decisions when it comes to punt returns. Basically, the whole damn team needs to get the hell off social media, focus on practice, but they also need to be able to get some actual rest. Actual damn rest. And that I blame on the NFL. I 100% put that on the NFL, but you know what? Good teams find ways to win. Granted, no team in the NFL history has had to play 3 games in 12 games. No team in NFL history has had to. And I'll tell you the truth, I am getting so sick of these I'm getting sick and damn tired of these mouth breathers on Twitter. They're so excited to trash talk the Steelers. So excited. Oh, you're nowhere near as good as the Chiefs. and look at the teams that the Steelers beat. And guess what? Because they get the easy. Shut up. Shut your entire face. Not a half, not a quarter, not a portion. 100% of that noise hole in your upper body region. Shut it. Shut it. If you have to, fill it with objects from Patrick Mahomes' anatomy or Tom Brady's anatomy, because that's what you seem to be gagging yourselves on. Shut your entire face.
Nick Wright.
Yeah, shut up. Because the bottom line is, if the Steelers dropped any of those games to those soft teams, you'd be giving them hell for losing to those teams. Good teams beat bad teams. Let me break it down for some of you sort of mental deficients out there. Good teams beat bad teams. That's the way winning is done. That's what good teams do. Guess what? The teams that the Chiefs have beaten, they haven't necessarily been the monsters of the midway either. Okay? They're not. Oh, in the last couple of games, there's been some games this season that the Chiefs have had to eke out a little bit as well. Patrick Mahomes has looked human at times this season. Okay?
Shout out Miami. 3 picks, even a loss. Still a good game.
The Raiders? Come on. And I don't see the Chiefs having to play 3 games in 12 days. Are the Steelers being exposed? Yes. Is the offensive line terrible? Yes. Has the running game been horrible? Absolutely. Is Randy Fichtner a moron? Definitely. Do changes need to be made? Yes. But guess what? If the Chiefs had the same issues going on, you all would be making so many excuses for why the Chiefs are looking human. You know what? Instead of trying to act like you're smart, call it for what it is. You don't like the Steelers. Just say it. Just say it. Be honest. You don't sound smart. You sound damn stupid. You sound like a bunch of haters. You sound like you can't get enough of Patrick Mahomes. You sound like if Patrick Mahomes looked in your general directions, you would squeal, drop your little undie-roos, and throw them at him just to get some attention, whether it's positive or negative. Shut up. Or be honest with yourselves, because you're acting like you drink the urine out of a llama, freshly squeezed. Shut your noise holes, okay?
Wow.
I can't stand people like this.
Another great Steelers rant. I love it.
Oh, and by the way, the Chiefs don't have a defense. How many defensive powerhouses have the Steelers lost this year due to injury? And they're still a dangerous defense. Shut this up. Shut it.
One thing's for sure. Steelers got a chance for a bounce back game against the Bengals. They're pretty beat up. They need to dominantly win one of these 3 games. And honestly, I think if they win 2 out of 3, then they can go into the playoffs with a good amount of momentum.
Well, the thing is, they win 1 game, they win the AFC North. The AFC North is theirs. Okay. And if they run the table these next 3 games, something tells me now that they have a good opportunity. I think, I don't have the math in front of me, but they could be able to get that number 1 seed back.
Mm-hmm.
If they run the table, and maybe if the Chiefs drop 1 or whatever, I'm pretty sure the Steelers can own the rest of it. And that's the bottom line. Because I think the top 2 seeds get a bye.
It's just the top 1 now, because they added that extra team.
All right. So fine, the Steelers
So
could.
that's why that number 1 seed is so coveted, and that's why that's key for the Steelers if they want to try to make a Super Bowl run. If I'm them, I'm like, guys, listen, we got 3 more weeks. We shouldn't have lost the game to Washington. We should have, played better against the Bills. But these 3 weeks, they've got to play their butts off, because if they lose one game, then they could say goodbye to the chance of getting a bye, and they're going to have to play wild card weekend.
Right, and that's gonna suck. That is good. That's gonna suck. That's gonna be difficult. And I'm trying to find, like, there's all of these stories from before they lost about how they could maintain the number 1 seed. I'm not finding. But it's just I really think that the Steelers could. There's the chance. Even though they still have the they basically have the same record as the Chiefs at this point. But they could still do it. There's a chance. So all they really have to do is just keep getting the job done. Although it says here the Chiefs, like when the Steelers were 11-1, the Chiefs were 11-1. So are the Chiefs 12-1 now?
Yes.
All right. So the Chiefs have to lose and the Steelers have to run the table.
Yep.
So look, yeah, they've got to get the job done. Honestly, I don't think Fichtner's with this team next year. If they are, there's a big problem. I'm wondering if Fichtner has photos of Tomlin somewhere. But I'm seriously calling for Matt Canada to be the offensive coordinator next season. He did an amazing job at Pitt. I think he could get it done. And honestly, the Steelers need to get Big Ben's heir apparent now. Now. Not now, but right now. The following broadcast is brought to you in association by Forever Grips. Go to forevergripsgaming.com for all of your affordable gaming accessories. Need new grips for your analog sticks? They've got it. Need to swag up your controller or console, including the Xbox Series X or PS5? They've got it. Need a sweet mouse pad to complete your setup? Go to forevergripsgaming.com now. Act now and use the Vendetta Sports Media promo code VSM15 at checkout to get 15% off of your purchase. That's right, 15% off by using our promo code VSM15. Forever Grips, the best accessories for the best prices are with Forever Grips. So
hey, there's a really good dude in Philly right now that was benched last week.
The thing is, though, Carson Wentz, he's not going anywhere. He has too big of a contract. Unless the Eagles are going to be willing to eat that contract for Jalen Hurts, Wentz isn't going nowhere. We're sitting you for the rest of the season until we can get our crap figured out. Let's let this 3rd round pick get beat up.
Hey, it's the Eagles. Don't put it past them.
That's true. Now, all right, so here's the thing. If Carson Wentz does end up being available, do you think the Steelers go for him?
I think they should.
Yeah. Now here's the thing.
I think their biggest competition for getting him or any other quarterback like Sam Darnold is probably going to be available because they're more than likely going to have the number 1 overall pick, and they'll pick Trevor Lawrence with that number 1 overall pick. The Jets.
So they're not going to need him. They're not going to need Darnold. So who do you go for in the offseason? You got Haskins. You got Darnold. Let's just say Wentz is available. So you've got Wentz, Darnold, and Haskins. If you're Kevin Colbert, who do you go after?
That's tough. I would lean towards Wentz. Darnold is very close, though, just because, and there's pros and cons for both. Biggest pros being that Wentz has been on
the promised land.
He's been to the promised land. He has a ring. Say what you will that he didn't win that Super Bowl or whatever. He played a significant portion of that season and was a big reason why they were in the position they were at. And of course, last season took pretty much a pretty horrible looking, Eagles team, with his receivers that, weekdays are, scrambling eggs at Denny's. And then the next, on the weekends, they're playing in an NFL stadium. But So I would lead towards Wentz. Darnold's a little bit younger, so you could argue that, but his development has just been shot right now because because Adam Gase has pretty much failed him, and Adam Gase pretty much admitted so. So how that dude still has a job is beyond any understanding that I have of anything in the universe, and it's very little, I'll admit that, but still, it goes beyond even that. But I would probably go for Wentz, whichever one. Like let's say the Steelers decide that they want to do that. Like let's say they go for Wentz, then Darnold will go probably, I would imagine, to the Colts, or vice versa. With the players, like whichever one doesn't get picked up by one is going to the other.
Honestly, and I'm going to explain myself. I go with the unsexy pick. I go for the guy that no one even expects. I go for Dwayne Haskins. Dwayne Haskins has more to prove than either one of them. Darnold has the excuse of a head coach that's failed him. Carson Wentz has the excuse of a weak team. Haskins, granted, he does have an excuse of another weak team. However, his position, he doesn't, like, he's been held to a much higher standard. He came out with a lot of fanfare on him coming from a power conference team. There was a lot expected out of him, much the same as RG3. There was a lot expected out of him. Anytime Ohio State guys come out, they're expected to be amazing. And we're all disappointed when they're human. The problem is that they come out highly touted and they go to these teams that have quarterbacks that don't know how to use them. I would seriously go with Dwayne Haskins. He has so much to prove. And if anyone's going to have a chip on his shoulder, it's definitely going to be him. And the thing is, and I bring this up a lot because I'm a firm believer of truth. And if you think that I'm off base, please tell me when I make this statement. Black quarterbacks get a lot more pressure put on them in a lot of ways because it's still sort of like, granted, we do have black quarterbacks now that it's becoming a lot more common. But how long did it take for that to happen? You had Randall Cunningham, Cordell Stewart, Doug Williams, Warren Moon, and until Michael Vick, that was about it. Well, Dante Culpepper as well.
Mm-hmm.
But after Dante Culpepper, who was there? What was the name of the kid from the Raiders? He was the first overall.
Jamarcus Russell.
Yeah, Jamarcus Russell was like, gone, washed out, done. And these guys, a lot of these guys can ball though. I mean, Michael Vick, as much as I was never a Michael Vick fan because I don't like running quarterbacks, but the guy could get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
And then Donovan McNabb was another one. Look at how much scrutiny he was under. Look at how much scrutiny Donovan McNabb was under. So I really think that if Dwayne Haskins gets the opportunity, he's going to be a monster. You get him in the right system with the right coach, with the right weapons around him, with a line that will actually block for him, dude, he's going to blow up. He's got a lot to prove.
I still like him in Washington. I still think it can work out, and I believe it will, because I think hopefully Rivera wises up and realizes that he's got a good young quarterback that he can build on, because that defense is starting to really turn legit.
See, I disagree. I think not gonna. I think he's got to go. I think that
he should, though. Make the right decision, Rivera.
But he's not gonna.
We're all asking for it.
I seriously think that ship is sailed because Rivera basically said, I don't believe in you. So I seriously think that I think that he's going to end up leaving. I think that he's going to have to leave. I think he has to, because it's like now, like if I'm Dwayne Haskins, I'm like, you know what, dude, you basically already told me you don't believe in me. So why do I want to play for someone who doesn't believe in me? I seriously, like, that would be my pick. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. And then also, yeah. I think Washington would be better for him if he had a different head coach, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I still like Haskins. I still want it to work out. I think Washington's headed in a positive direction.
I
Just
agree. Well, I also think that Haskins is too good of a quarterback to not. I mean, as much as I think that he's just too special of a quarterback. He's too special of a quarterback for them to give up, for him to be given up on. And I would love to see him. I would love to see another number 7 or give him number 8, whatever, and let him have that opportunity to thrive and shine. But all right, so we're just about at the tail end. What's going on in sports, this week that's coming up? What are you looking out for there, J-Lo?
I mean, just always keeping an eye on the NBA, just because I'm a big NBA guy, and I'm happy the season's back. The Grizzlies are one of 5 teams that are allowing fans in the stands to start out the season, so hopefully there's no massive COVID outbreak.
Fingers crossed, right?
Yeah, but in the NFL, to also be a homer in the NFL, definitely got to be paying attention to my Dolphins right now because they are in the playoff hunt. I think they hold on to the last seed right now, or they may have lost it because the Ravens won their game. But now that the Ravens are looking like they're kind of resurging here at the end, then it's big for the Dolphins. They play the Patriots this week. And they lost to the Patriots in week 1, but this is a completely different Miami team from week 1 to now. And then the big game, obviously, that they got coming up is they've got the Raiders and then they've got the Bills. And that's how they close out this season. They have to beat the Patriots, I think, just because it's probably the most winnable game out of the two. Maybe the Raiders are a little bit closer to winnable, but the Raiders is a must win this week and next week. Must win for them. The Bills game, depending on if the Bills fall off, maybe there's a chance that even the division is at play, but I doubt it. I think the Bills are too far ahead and are too good of a team to lose it right here at the end. But that's what I'm paying attention to. Is we're here. My Dolphins are in the playoff hunt for the first time in many years. Exciting future, and yeah.
So I think I'm actually going to. I think I am going to. I'm going to DVR the Bucks Pelicans game. I'm going to see if that's going to be playing in my market. I'm going to DVR that game. Giannis and Zion. Zion got to play without any sort of restrictions his last game.
So, yeah, it was about time. This is about the first time he has ever played without restrictions.
So I'm going to be interested to see that. I really am. I believe I'm either going to, I'm narrowing it down. It's probably going to be between the Bucks and the Nets in the East, and probably the Lakers and I don't know. Give me a West team that I should pay attention to besides the Lakers. Should I just keep it in LA and just go Lakers Clippers?
Just like in general, or
because here's the thing.
Week?
I like to have a team, I like to have a main team, okay, and then I like to have a second team. Now in football, my main team is obviously the Steelers. I don't really have a second team in football because I love football, so I kind of know who a lot of people are. But in other sports, I like to have backup teams, and in basketball, I like to have at least a team in each conference.
Okay, so you said another Western Conference team?
Yeah, I'm probably going to be keeping my eyes on the Lakers. So I'm trying to think who in the West should I also like. Should now are the Grizzlies in the West?
The Grizzlies are in the West.
All right, so I'll be keeping my eyes on the Grizzlies and the Lakers. Those are my 2 teams that I'll be keeping eyes on. In the East, it's going to probably be Milwaukee and Brooklyn. And with so many games going on, I think that'll be enough to keep me interested in the NBA, I think.
Yeah. Dallas is another interesting prospect, too, because I think Luka
Doncic is just a beast. I have a hard time. I had a real hard time with him in 2K. I'm not going to lie. But then again, I'm not really a defensive-minded player in 2K.
Yeah, but no. Luka's good in IRL, too, man. And I think that if he has a great season and the Mavs land with the number 4 spot, he's going to have a legitimate shot at MVP.
Well, I'm going to be paying attention to the Bucks Pelicans game. I'm going to be paying a lot of attention to that. I'm also going to be I'm going to sort of keep my eyes on the Steeler game. I might, watch it or listen to it. I don't watch NFL games on network TV anymore. I'll either watch it, I'll either stream it, or I'll just listen to the radio broadcasts. But that's sort of where I'm at. I'm definitely, I'm going to make a conscious effort to be more into the NBA. And honestly, I'm probably going to start looking more into the NHL as well. I'm a Penguins fan, so I'm going to pay a little bit more attention to the NHL as well. Now that we're doing the show, I definitely want to talk some hockey at some point. So, I'm probably going to be keeping my eyes on the NHL as well when that comes about. But that's where I'm sitting at. Now, folks, next week, I don't know. Do we decide what we're going to do next week, J-Law? Are we doing a show next week? Or are we taking off for the holiday?
I think we decided to take off for the holiday because I think we had that week, and then the week after that, I think it was 2 weeks. We're basically taking off.
Yeah, so we're gonna take off the next 2 weeks for the holidays because we usually record the show on Tuesdays. Figure next week, J Law, he has a young kid, so him and his wife have to get ready for Christmas. Plus, dude, J Law has a lot of shows coming up. He's been streaming Cyberpunk like crazy. If you haven't checked it out, go to the Vendetta Sports Media page, or go to our go to our YouTube channel and check out.
We got a Facebook too.
Yeah, check those out. And so there's a lot going to be going on. I'll be dealing with family stuff in the next coming week. Maybe I'll make a writing. Maybe I'll do an article next week just to fill the gap. Maybe.
Yeah, just do like a Tanndemonium roundup of the week.
There you go. And then, the week of New Year's, there's still, we gotta recover from Christmas and get ready for the new year.
Yeah, getting lit on New Year's.
Not me. I don't drink anymore. But either way, and then we're going to be taking a little 2-week hiatus from the actual podcast, and we're going to sort of do, I don't know. I'll figure out. Maybe I'll do a little something. Maybe I'll do a quick 5-minute video those days. Who knows? We'll see. We'll talk it over and see. But I just want to say, if this is going to be the last full scale Tanndemonium sports show of 2020, I want to thank everyone that regularly watches the show. Thank you, J Law, for agreeing to co-host this.
Loved every minute of it, my guy.
And I can't wait till 2021 because we're going to take it to the next level. Granted,
big year, my guy.
2021 is going to be an amazing year. We're doing a lot of things behind the scenes as well to improve the show. So, stick with us on that. If you like the content, make sure you leave a comment, give a thumbs up, help us out on the YouTube algorithm if you're watching us on YouTube. If you're listening to us on the podcast end of it, please like, share, and subscribe. Pass us on to your friends. And, if you've got something to say, we're going to start setting up ways for us to engage with you guys. Be on the lookout in 2021. We are going to have a Tanndemonium Sports Show Twitter feed that both J Law and I will be checking. We're both going to have access to. And, you can interact with us. And just keep in mind, if you interact with us, we'll probably talk about you on the air. And hey, I know you guys have heard the bumper already, but please join us, help us out into the new year. Go to patreon.com/Vendetta Sports Media. And hey, every little bit helps. And we've got 4 amazing tiers to show you how much we appreciate you. And one thing, and I'm going to talk to Trey about this, but maybe in one of the tiers, I will send you a personal thank you, kind of like a little cameo, if you really give a damn about that. Or maybe we'll let you get a checkout of the Tanndemonium Short Sports Show before it goes out to everyone else. Who knows? I'm just thinking off the top of my head. But with that being said, we will see you guys in the new year. Our first show back, our first full show back will be on. We will be recording that show January 5th, 2021. Now, that's actually going to be an interesting show, and I'll tell you why, J-Law. I'll be having a minor procedure done that day. So I might be in a bad mood because I'm in a lot of pain, and I might be in a bad mood because my Steelers have shit the bed. So who knows? So Brian in pain plus Steelers doing bad. is just going to be big rants. Okay. But we will be recording this show. We will be recording the next show January 5th, and it'll probably, the turnaround, hopefully we'll be able to pick up on that. 2021, the show's going to look a lot more polished. Promise you that. We're still finding our legs. Thank you for supporting us, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. If you celebrate, if you're, hey, happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, Merry Christmas, safe and happy New Year. And if you are a first responder, if you're one of the people that have been on the front lines dealing with this COVID outbreak, we here at the Tanndemonium Sports Show and Vendetta Sports Media as a whole, we thank you for your sacrifices. We thank you for all you do. You guys are the real heroes. You're the real MVPs. And hey, you guys take care, be safe, be blessed.